What are the methods of conditioning and dumbing down in the classroom?
Well, what you're talking about as far as dumbing down is taking thinking out of in-between stimulus and response, which makes us automatons. It makes us slaves in every way, shape, and form.
Slaves to stimulus.
Absolutely. And in between stimulus and response, it's that space that gives you choice and freedom and liberty and all the things that we need. But because we as conscious human beings have to use reason to survive. We have to effectively plan for the future, and we have to know what knowledge looks like in order to dismiss the arbitrary and find the lies.
But I mean, dumb that down for me. Okay, because... And for folks that may not know these terms, stimulus is you ring the bell, the dog salivates because you've given him the meat over and over again. And their big lie, we don't have free will. Well, wait, they want to take over. They have free will. It's a mind game that you're just our slaves.
It's a ploy. They condition human beings through operant conditioning, much the same as they can train pigeons to look like they're reading and pecking at words because it's a reward. But that's only a human being when they're not thinking. If you question the psychological warfare, if you question the neurolinguistic programming, if you question the corporate media that you see on TV and all over the newspapers and all around you in your life, in your family's life, then you can free yourself from the system. So the damage done in the 15,000 hours in the classroom through Prussian education and the servile mentality.
Look at the camera right there and tell them what Prussian education is.
Prussian education. Prussia, before it was Germany in the late 1860s, it was called Prussia, and it was a bunch of different city-states that were all kind of at war. And finally, they got together through militarizing and using force, fraud, and aggression to attain their goals. And this was working really well until Napoleon, Napoleon had defeated the Prussian army at the Battle of Jena in 1806. And from that, the Prussian government and people like Karl von Clausewitz, who wrote on war, they went out and decided, hey, we can't have people on the battlefield who will run away from weapons and won't fight for their country. We need to nationalize their mentality. We need to break the individuality and the sovereignty of those individuals. We need to make them submit. Through force, fraud, and coercion, compulsory schooling was the model that they made successful, and it later resulted in the Nazis.
That's right. Our modern educational system is a German military brainwashing program on record. Kindergarten, all of it. People go, well, I just grew up in this. Well, let me tell you, it's the opposite of freedom. And nothing against Germans, I'm part German. The point is it was a technology corrupt people used to take over the Germans. It's like the global model is a British Empire model. I'm part English. I'm not against the British people. They always spin that too. Like if you're like, I don't like what the communist Chinese are doing. What, you don't like Chinese people? You know, I don't like what Hitler did. What, you don't like Germans? Again, that's operant conditioning. Don't be racist. Just to get you people out there watching off of the real info. Don't like government-run healthcare? You're a racist. Don't want to turn your guns in? You're a racist. That's that conditioning, that buzzword again.
You're observing this phenomenon that goes on, and it's prevalent, so we should give it a name. This idea that you got your finger on it, it's the philosophic corruption of our reality. It's the fact that people don't value truth anymore. They say they do, but they won't go through the work to actually realize it and do the learning which results from asking questions.
Austin?
I think that the conditioning was summed up in the film best by B.F. Skinner. You know, he talks about there's certain things that you can do to manipulate your students to get a particular behavior response out of them. And then once you do that enough, once you repeat that over and over again, eventually those behaviors become self-reinforcing. Like we were saying earlier, we all police ourselves. And so really, they don't have to continually do this. All they have to do is get you up until about 4th grade. And they've got you so trained at that point that once you enter into high school, you're doing it on your own. And so really, we just see that repetition of taking away your individuality. Anytime somebody in school tries to speak an original thought or question what the teacher has to say, they're immediately punished. They're immediately chastised, and this happens over and over and over again.
And it's this worship of authority where they've done, as you know, 2 different, covered in the film, university experiments, where people would kill people under orders because an authority figure told them. I mean, if an authority figure told me to mow their lawn, I'd tell them no. They tell university students, kill that person, and they'll do it. I mean, this is incredible. Well,
there's 2 aspects. There's an MK Ultra aspect where you could train someone to actually kill and eat their parents. And then there's the everyday advertising war that we're all exposed to through any magazine or newspaper or television ad that we see on TV. So all these things come, you know, it's like a coincidentia positorum. You have scientific management coming through MK Ultra from top down in intelligence agencies, and you have war coming in from the marketing companies, and they make a very happy living off of the unwitting servitude.
There's layers and layers of the programming. It's just incredible, meant to just overwhelm you till you just give up.
And this is a great tool to peel off those layers, 1 layer at a time, as you learn how to.
And the fun is, once you know the programming, you learn the cop doesn't know what they're doing. They're programmed too. The bureaucrat doesn't know, and they like short circuit when you know the programming and they don't. But instead of using that programming to enslave them, you use it to unlock their mind.
The fundamental choice that human beings have is to think or not to think. So we all have the ability to think. If you choose not to ask the questions, if you choose to be servile and you want to give away other people's rights that you don't have the right to do, that's fine. You can do that, but expect other people to resist, the people who are aware of how things work and how logic and reason should be, advanced in this world.
That's right. Just because you've been put through dog training at the TSA to be a slave, prisoner training, doesn't mean I'm going to go along with it. And I notice with these sheep, sometimes they get mad when I wake people up about what's happening, and then later they go, no, I agree with you. It's like once they see me not bow to their peer pressure, they have like mass Stockholm syndrome, then they grovel to me, and I go, no, I don't want you to be my prisoner. I don't want my kids growing up in a world with a bunch of slaves. Stop acting like that. It's pathetic.